Hello there, and welcome to another edition of the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washa here as we grind through the dog days of May. Don't say that. Well, it's quiet. Yeah. But we got a little bit. We got some news to hit on here, and that's where I want to start out, because it is always, the guys in the desert in Las Vegas, there's big casinos and buildings there for a reason. They make a lot of money on their props and the numbers they put out. And the official prop numbers came out for the Big Ten Conference, and Nebraska, and I don't think any of us are very surprised on this number, is at 7.5 wins, kind of right in the middle of the pack. And we know that jump up to 8.5 and obviously higher is a huge jump as a program. And right now, Ohio State's at 10.5, Oregon's at 10.5, Penn State's at 10. That surprised me that they weren't at 10.5 as well, knowing what the Nittany Lions returned. But Indiana, a surprising 8.5. They're really all in on Kurt Signetti year 2. Michigan's at 8.5. And then Nebraska finds themselves with Washington, Illinois, Iowa, and USC kind of in this rugby scrum of teams picked to win 7.5 wins. And Stephen M. Sipple's favorite program, the Purdue Boilermakers, rounding out the tail at 3.
I don't mind them now with Barry Odom. I just thought they made a terrible hire on that.
Purdue's so low they don't even show up on this thing, but they're at the bottom of that, below Northwest.
I thought Walters was a terrible hire. This is Circus Sports, by the way, that put these out. Circus Sports. Nebraska's in very good company. I'd say that. It's 7.5. Those are all good programs. Illinois is – there hasn't been this much excitement for Illinois football, I got to think, in a century, right? They did play in the Rose Bowl under Ron Zook.
And they're only at 7.5.
That is kind of weird now that you mention it.
I mean, put them at 8, put them at 8.5, but it just tells you.
That is, what that is a little low.
Like,
aren't you hammering that, Rob? Are you going to hammer that?
I need to take a further look at their schedule to see what they're up against, because that could be where they're playing.
There you go. Megan's got it pulled up right here.
Good job, Megan.
It's not that bad.
Duke won't be easy.
No.
And that's on the road.
Okay,
just check it out.
Yeah,
that Indiana-Illinois game on September 20th will be huge.
Monster.
Mm-hmm.
When have we ever said that before?
No, never. Not in our,
the SC game will be huge for him. I mean, yeah, that is a tough schedule.
At Wisconsin in late November, that's tough. But
Wisconsin is down.
I'm just saying, going to Madison on November 22nd is hard. I don't care.
Yeah. Going to
I get it. It's not like
East Piscataway is hard.
2015 Wisconsin, but
no, Rutgers and Maryland back to back at home. That's kind of a favorable November stretch, though.
Hey, that's not Sean. Now, everybody, keeping in mind that everybody has a pretty hard schedule nowadays, that's not that bad.
No, they could win. Hey, they could go on a 5-game win streak.
Right. That is not. I'm not.
Okay, I'm 7.5. It's going over.
That seems low.
Right. It does seem low.
They could go 5-0 from October 25th to November 29th. Yeah. And then Purdue, that's a win. They're at 6 right there. If they did that, and then there are 2 non-conference games, and they got to beat Duke. If they beat Duke, they're going to get 8 wins.
Yep.
At least.
Yeah. Many regard Illinois as a playoff team.
They're a dark horse for sure.
But yeah, Nebraska 7.5. Okay. And I think, as you look at their schedule, I think that's where we all were kind of at. Like, yeah, this is a team that can maybe win 8, maybe win 7, and 9 would be really a monstrous year in this conference for Nebraska. And I think the opener against Cincinnati, who has an over-under of around 6.5. I've seen 2 numbers on them, but the Bearcats are a bowl quality team with a returning quarterback. So the opener will be tough. Michigan is an unknown without Sharon Moore. Michigan State, kind of an unknown in a year 2. Maryland had lost a lot. Minnesota, as we know, has had Nebraska's number. Northwestern, they've never played this version of Northwestern. USC in Lincoln, UCLA on the road with all the changes they've had there, and then obviously Penn State and Iowa. So I don't know. I think that's about right. 7.5.
Yeah, I just think 7 would be horribly disappointing, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be my floor. Like,
yeah,
that's like the minimum. And anything below that is a disaster. And anything above that is progress. So,
yeah.
7, I mean, I agree. It'd be disappointing. It wouldn't be the end of the world, in my opinion, but it would be certainly uninspiring, considering year 3 is supposed to be the big jump year.
Which, if you just take the temperature and we're sort of tasked to do that, right? In our roles, the temperature of the fan base seems to me. And listen, I know the comments, you can get attacked for stuff like this, but it seems like the majority of the fan base is at the 8. Is in the 8.
That's where
camp.
I am. That's where I am. I think
that's
8.
Where you at? That's where I'm at.
8 is doable.
Yeah,
that should be what you're. I mean, again, I said 7's the floor. I think 8 should actually be like the minimum goal of what you're shooting for. Like, you got to have progress. And if you're in 8 wins with that schedule, I mean, you're going to have some good wins. You're going to show tangible progress.
That's what the key is. There needs to be a quality moment or two in the wins. Like, it can't be win all the games you're expected to win, lose all the games you're expected to lose. Like, you need to pull through and win a game or two that Nebraska hasn't been able to win in a long time, 10 years probably.
To get to 8, you'll have to do that, right?
Yes.
If you predicted 9, Sean Callahan, people would be like, oh, Sean, just drinking the Kool-Aid.
There goes the media again. They're going to mislead us.
The hype train.
So you almost can't. You're almost forbidden from picking 9, and I wouldn't anyway. So
no,
I'm sticking hard to 8. There's nothing that you could do to get me to 9, and there's the only thing that would get me to 7 would be an injury to a key player in August.
Indiana 8.5 freaks me out though. I don't know. I mean, they lost a lot. I mean,
they got a lot back.
And they added from the portal, but that is a really generous projection for the Hoosiers.
They went and got Cal's quarterback, a 2-year starter, and I think he's pretty good. He was he's the Cal franchise guy, and they went and got him. They have a lot back, and they have a lot of those James Madison guys back. So I get it. Their schedule is, if you look at the start of their league schedule, it is their first few games in league play are telltale. It'll tell you everything. One of them is Illinois. I think one of them is Oregon. Here it is right here.
Mm-hmm. They got to really look at their non-con though.
No. Look at their first 3 league games.
Yeah.
Illinois, Iowa, and Oregon.
We'll learn a lot about them.
So that's
late September.
Exactly. Illinois, Iowa, Oregon to start it off.
Well, think about November 15th with Wisconsin for Luke Fickell, like how big that game will be for him. Because who knows? I mean, Wisconsin has that
they're in trouble.
They have the hardest schedule maybe in the country.
They're in trouble.
And for them, that Indiana game is in must-win territory, arguably. I mean, they're going to have to try to pull that out.
I mean, the wheels might already be off by then for Wisconsin.
Yeah, and I just don't know about Fickell. And
doesn't look like a good fit right now. We've had this conversation at Nebraska. It's the same thing. They tried to change everything.
Here's that Wisconsin schedule.
Okay. Oh, they play Alabama.
Alabama, Michigan, Iowa, Ohio State, Oregon, Washington, Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota.
It's like half the playoff field right there.
The Packers might be on there too.
Goodness.
No, I know. I mean, Minnesota's the last game. Minnesota just drilled them last year.
Yeah.
Sean, you watched that game with me at a pizza place in Iowa. Minnesota hammered them.
And that was in Madison.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, I'm picking Minnesota to win that game right now.
Oh, yeah.
And then look at the rest of the schedule. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, what was Wisconsin's over under? Are they at 5.5 or 4?
5.5, I think.
Which, God, that I would take the under on that. I would take the under in Indiana, the under on Wisconsin. I would 5.5 on Rutgers and UCLA are intriguing because I do think both those teams have a pretty good chance to get to 6.
Rutgers' schedule is really hard. I don't know about UCLA. If Wisconsin's under 5, I don't know if Fickell would survive that.
No.
I don't know.
That seat was hot last year.
But the buyout, did they have the money?
I don't know.
I think it would start there with, is the AD McIntosh. Would he be in any kind of trouble?
You wonder. I don't want to be alarmist, but if they win 5 again back to back, I mean, think how hot it would be there.
Well, the Emperor Barry Alvarez has been very quiet. You don't hear or see from Barry right now, which
the silence is
deafening. Yeah. And we were here at a time when you didn't hear or see Tom Osborne.
Right.
When he didn't like what was going on.
Right. Oh, they're going through exactly what Nebraska went through. In fact, I'm sort of, I guess I'm not surprised, but they should have considered what they were doing. When they consider what they were doing, they should have looked at Nebraska and said, hey, cautionary tale.
Mm-hmm.
They threw out everything, and they're still trying to get
having Luke Fickell coach that bowl game when he had only been on the job for a month and making Jim Leonard work for him for one game.
Mm-hmm.
That was
a bad look.
I don't know. I mean, they won the game, but it was this. I've never seen that where the interim coach or the guy you just hired just comes in and takes over.
Yeah, usually you at least let the previous staff have that moment, because they're the ones that got to that bowl game and should be able to have that reward. And then Fickle steps in and is like, nope, my team now. You work for me for.
And maybe that was their
weeks.
thought to like keep players from going to the portal. They're going to like this guy so much. We'll keep this team together.
Maybe.
But yeah, that was everything about it just kind of was different. I mean, granted, they almost beat Oregon last year. They took Oregon to overtime or like 13-10. I mean, it was so just like Nebraska. They're right there, but they were on the wrong side of that last year too many times. But all right, when we come back, I want to shift the conversation over to the opener as Nebraska and Cincinnati will play at 8:00 at Arrowhead Stadium on August 28th to open the college football season. We'll hit on that and more. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. Back here on the Husker Online Show, Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washut here as we are talking some schedule news before we get into that. This segment of the Husker Online Show brought to you by Huel. And I had one yesterday, guys. I was on the go. A lot of times I get set up the site early in the morning and have to get it ready to roll, then get the kids to school. Don't have time to eat breakfast. Well, Huel bailed me out. Go work out.
What'd you have?
I had a chocolate Huel.
Just did you is it the made ones or the ones that are already
in the bottles, the ready to go ones, and had it in the car and went in, did the workout like I always do, and you're on your way. I mean, you're going to get your protein, your vitamins, everything you need in one bottle of Huel. You have lots of energy. We've all tried it, used it. It comes in a powder or a ready to go bottle. If you've never tried Huel, we've got a great deal right now at Husker Online. We're going to give you 15% off with a free gift for new customers by using the code Husker at Huel.com. Again, that's promo code Husker at Huel.com. You'll get 15% off your order plus a free gift. Thanks to Huel for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Show. All right, I want to get into this topic, guys, because we learned the first kickoff time of the year. Nebraska will play Cincinnati, as we know, in Arrowhead Stadium. And we knew it was going to be a night game. It's a Thursday game, but it's about as late as it could have been, 8:00. And the reasoning is ESPN is going to have a doubleheader that day. So Nebraska will play after the Boise State game, which is at 4:30.
Boise State plays.
I don't remember.
God, I should know this.
But
it's a good game.
Boise plays at 4:30.
Rob, can you pull that?
And Nebraska at 8.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Thursday, August 28th. Looks like, Boise State, South Florida.
Oh, at South Florida.
I wouldn't call that a good game.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty good. South Florida could beat them. South Florida could beat them. Yep. It's a good game.
What do you know about South Florida?
I know they're in South Florida.
Break down the bowls for us.
Well, they've had some struggles there.
I know.
And they're
in South Florida.
Yeah, but
that'll be a tough game. It's at South Florida.
Yes.
It'll be
tough
hot.
game. Tough game. There's a lot of games that day, by the way. There's like 20 games
on Thursday night.
It's weird. Yeah, there's a weird
week
amount.
Week 0 is the new week 1.
Well, because the NFL, no, that's not week 0.
Oh,
week 0 is the week before.
That's
Iowa,
Farmageddon, and
that's
Dublin.
Iowa State and Kansas State and Ireland.
Okay, there's a ton of games that Thursday.
But yeah, when the NFL doesn't play that week, college football has to take advantage of the real estate. I mean, that's what it comes down to. They get a free Thursday night. Where if you put like Chiefs Dolphins on Thursday night or Texans Steelers, college football can't compete against that.
Nope.
And they lose over half or more of their ratings. So this will be a free Thursday night for college football to take over. But 8:00, it's gonna be a late opener, but I think it's good for the fans coming down. I mean, a lot of people can almost work part of the day and still drive down if they wanted to. But you got plenty of time to get down there Thursday. What I'm excited about, and hear me out on this, I think this is going to be the best tailgate scene we've seen for a Nebraska game in a long time. Because normally in Memorial Stadium, you got to be a high booster in terms of priority points to get a good parking spot and have a good tailgate party or own a business or something like that. Arrowhead Stadium is just a pavement paradise.
Mm-hmm.
Average Joe fan can pay $20 and park next to the guy that pays $1 million.
Have you done that at Chiefs games? Have you tailgated?
Yes. There's 3 tiers of parking, and 2 of them are available to buy right now online. There's a red spot and a yellow spot.
Okay.
And the red spots are a little bit further from the stadium, but in the lot, and the yellow ones are the ones that kind of butt up to the stadium, and it's something like 25 versus like 75, or like there's a jump up. There's also a platinum lot, which is for the very important people like you.
Yeah, the very important people. I would say this. I would leave fairly early. I wouldn't want to get caught in that traffic.
It's a mess.
Yeah, we
Getting
got
in and out of
caught.
there.
We got caught in 1998, the Journal Star crew, and we were in standstill. I got out of the car on I-29. I got out of the car and stood up and stretched. We didn't get to the game against Oklahoma State in 1998 at Arrowhead. We didn't get there till the second quarter. The Journal Star crew, which taught me, by the way, you don't really need to be at a college football game for the start. We had it on the radio. It really hit me like the second half's like 2.5 hours long. You can kind of figure out what happened in the first half pretty easy.
Well, we're not doing that.
No, it's not a lesson
Sean,
to
let's just leave it
preach.
by.
I mean, that's what you guys probably thought. You were like, we can just pull right in at kickoff.
I don't know why
What the hell were you thinking?
I don't know. Well, we didn't think we were going to get
Like, why didn't you leave at like noon?
Well, we left pretty early, but we didn't think we were going to we were stopped. And I think there was an issue too, but I remember getting a cookie from someone on the like somebody said, sip, I got a cookie. I was like, all right.
Just interstate cookies.
Yeah. Just stopped. Dead stop.
But yeah, the tailgating scene at Arrowhead.
You're looking forward to
I mean,
that,
it's
aren't you?
first
Are you going to tailgate?
Well, my family will be with me.
See, I
and
think
we'll have some
Sean's
friends.
angling
I'm
for
not gonna pre-party before working, but I'll hang out with my kids and family for a few hours if I'm lucky, have some time if they want me to. That's the other key.
It's probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know how early they open it. Somebody on the board, HuskerOnline, Ritzy Scroll, said that usually 4.5 hours before a game is when the Chiefs open. So that would be 3:30. Some people are like, you got to be there like at noon. I don't know if the Chiefs want people pre-partying 8 hours before the game.
Hammering drinks in a August parking lot for 8 hours.
Seems like a lot.
It's been done before.
Seems like a liability issue, but who knows?
But yeah, it's rare to have a Nebraska game where it's like first come, first serve, take your parking spot, and average Joe fan can have the premier tailgate spots, which is going to make probably a little bit more livelier an atmosphere.
Yeah, it'll be lively. It's a huge game for Nebraska. I don't mind saying that's huge.
It is.
There's expectation tied to the season. You're playing a power conference opponent, not a great one, but I mean, I've told Sean, I think it's a real dangerous game. Opener against a team that will have dudes. I mean, I don't know a lot about Cincinnati right now.
They have a quarterback and a
May
tight end.
16th. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'll know more about them as the game goes on, but I know they're good enough to beat Nebraska.
Well, you'll have the Kelsey brothers there probably.
The Kelsey brothers.
I mean, there's that's kind of their angle to Kansas City. And you're going to have, I mean, I'm sure Mahomes, it wouldn't surprise me if he popped down there.
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
Somebody asked, will we get Taylor Swift? I don't know about that.
That seems a stretch.
That seems like a big time stretch.
Abby's got her fingers crossed.
So there you go.
But yeah, we'll learn more kickoff times at the end of the month.
Is that when they're starting to come out?
Yeah, May 26th is the day that we'll learn the remainder of the week 0 through week 3 kicks, along with maybe homecoming kickoff times. We might learn some of those. But the Iowa game, I would imagine we'll learn that as well.
Somebody on our chat this week asked the question of over under night games this season.
3.5.
Besides the prime or the Thursday, Friday games, like how I think he said 3.5
or 2.5. Was it 2.5?
2.5.
So what do you anticipate?
Well, Akron or Houston Christian, one of those two will be a night game.
Yeah.
And I do think for home games or overall games.
Well, they said overall, and then not including the opener, and then whatever the Friday game is this year.
One of those California games will be a night game.
Yeah,
is my guess.
UCLA makes a lot of sense.
And that might, well, again, that could be a Friday. So that kind of when he asks those questions, it's kind of tricky because, you know, like Thursday, Friday, those could all be night games.
What about Penn State?
No, they won't make Nebraska play a road game at night on a shortened week. That's kind of like an unwritten, and maybe they'll change that, but that had usually been the rule before. Is it, you know, ideally. Now let me take that back though. Nebraska did play at Wisconsin a couple of years ago at night on a short week, so I guess I eat my
Jeez,
words
that'd
there.
be rugged.
But they could.
Whoa,
I mean, they
November.
could.
If they're going to do it to anybody, they'll do it to Nebraska.
Jeez, November.
That screams like CBS 2:30 to me.
Look at that November. I'm all about, if I'm the head coach, if I'm the Nebraska head coach, would be fascinating. I would gear my team for that part of the schedule. I don't know how you do that, but I'd at least preach to them. We gotta be ready for it.
It puts so much importance too on those first 6.
Well, yeah,
I mean, like just to keep your head above water, like by the end of that November stretch.
yeah.
Like, you got to have some momentum and some equity built up for that first half of the season. Then starts with Cincinnati.
Oof. I mean, you got 2 super physical games to end.
Mm-hmm.
Super physical.
Think about what you prepare for, though, the different elements. Like early in the year, the heat.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Michigan game on November or September 20th, that could be hot. Like it was 95 the last
Super
time.
always hot, those September games.
But then late in the year,
This league is, I don't even know what to say about it sometimes. It's so hard. I mean, that November schedule, you better be mentally tough, physically tough, emotionally tough, everything. Because it's gonna test you every way you can be tested.
yeah, you got to prepare for all elements, no doubt. But we'll learn more kickoffs. But we got the opener 8:00 at night, Arrowhead Stadium against Cincinnati. When we come back, want to hit more on the future college football playoff discussion, as there's quite a debate going on in terms of auto bids and what direction things go. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. Back here on the Husker Online Show, Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washett. Before we get into some college football playoff discussion, segment of the Husker Online Show is brought to you by Mando. And guys, it's been hot all week. It's been 90 some degrees a lot of these days. Not your typical May weather, but for good reason. It doesn't smell in the studio because Steve Sipple continues to wear the Mando.
Well, I mean, are you suggesting I smelled before Mando?
But this eliminates any chance of smell.
Right. Mando it's an amazing product, and as it gets hotter, I do think it escalates in importance. I have an air conditioning issue, no problem right now because I got Mando. I'm not worried about it. Mando takes care of air conditioning problems. I strongly recommend the shower gel, but I strongly recommend pretty much everything I've ever used from Mando. I just went with spray today. No stick, just total spray.
Little spray job.
Yeah. Spray.
Well, if you've never tried Mando, we've got a great way for you to try it out. It's called the Mando Starter Pack. You'll get a stick of deodorant of your choice.
Okay.
You'll get a spray deodorant of your choice, along with body wash and cream. You pick one of those items as well as the wipes. You get 4 items of Mando. And it's already heavily discounted from what it would be if you bought these items individually, but we're going to take another $5 off the discounted price. So it's 40% off the retail price of these 4 items. You use the promo code Husker at shopmando.com for the Mando starter pack. Again, that's promo code Husker. You'll get 4 items for $35. It takes $5 more off that price at shopmando.com. Thanks again to Mando for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Show. But I want to get into the college football playoff discussion because it is getting a little heated, I think, behind the scenes. The SEC and the Big Ten continue to hold the pole position here. They control the television eyeballs, the money, everything. And they've made it be known that if this thing goes to 14 or 16 teams, they want auto bids, and they want 4 of them. And you're starting to see the ACC and the Big 12, but mainly I think the ACC kind of fight back on this topic.
Of course.
That they know that this is kind of the beginning of the end for them. If the Big Ten and the SEC get their 4 auto bids, it's over, because then they
for who?
The rest of the leagues, because of the stronghold they'll create with that advantage by being able to continue to schedule even tougher, knowing they won't be penalized for playing tougher games that are worth more money on the TV contracts.
God, when you, now I don't know that I disagree with you or agree with you. I will say this though. When you say the words, it's over, that's not particularly appealing for the sport of college football. That you've just axed Clemson, Florida State.
Well, they'll still get bids.
Okay.
But they just won't have the auto bids.
In what regard is it over?
they're not going to get near as many opportunities to be in the playoffs.
But it's not over. They can still
the path just becomes more difficult, and the money is only going to get further separated between Big Ten, SEC, and everybody else because of what Sean said. Now they can schedule these massive non-conference games against each other with very little consequence. In fact, they'll probably be rewarded for playing those types of games in the eyes of playoff committees, whereas losses could potentially end an ACC team's chances of even making the tournaments. That's what it's come down to.
And this is where I think the Big Ten and the SEC stand on this. They don't want a committee to make decisions on their teams. They want their best teams in the playoff. They don't want a committee to decide that SMU is better than Alabama. Because if you straw polled 100 people, Alabama would be favored to beat SMU. But the committee, by the metrics they have to follow, put SMU in over Alabama.
Yeah.
Like an example, and I'm not saying I agree, but that's the type of stuff that this is going to get rid of, where the committee has the power to be like, well, Iowa State went 9-3, and they deserve to be in, even though like you can't find their wins that would be equal to like an SEC or Big Ten team's wins.
Totally understand. I just know this. If I were a commissioner, I would be very mindful of keeping college football looking like some semblance of it, of the way it looked 5 years ago.
Commissioner. Who's that? There is no commissioner. There will never be.
I just don't. I hope if there was ever a commissioner, that commissioner would not just let the Big Ten and the SEC just become its own entity, because it's no good for.
There will never be a commissioner.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
I mean, what's stopping that at this point?
I don't know.
That eventual shift towards two leagues basically becoming their own separate deal. I think that's where it's headed, and I think it's been headed that way for a while.
Oh, I don't.
And something like this is only going to further take a step towards that.
I don't disagree with any of that. What I'm saying is it's not particularly appealing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really college football.
I'm with you.
I like the three. I like the 4-4-2-2-1-3, where
that's what I like.
Notre Dame will get one of the three at-larges, but then there's two more at-larges. So you do have flexibility for the ACC and Big 12 if they have another team.
I thought 4-4-2-2-1-3. The one. Who's the one?
Group of five.
Oh, that's group of five. That's not Notre Dame.
It would be group of six now, though, because the Pac-12 when they come back.
That's the one I like too. I would think that one's palatable, but to the Big 12 and the ACC, but maybe not, because they maybe want three.
Well, then I think the argument is like the SEC and the Big 10 are going to push for those two auto bids,
right?
Or the at-large bids. At-large bids when they have like teams that are in contention that are right there, and then the argument will be like, well, if they played on a field, who would win the game? And naturally, the conversation just always goes to the SEC or the Big 10 because they have better players, they have better rosters, they have better coaching staffs, but it doesn't necessarily always mean they'll win.
Right. No,
as we know. Like Arizona State should have beat Texas.
Had them.
I mean, they got hosed on a call.
Right. It's just that people, not necessarily myself, but they don't like the auto bids because of the artificial nature of them. You're just giving two leagues four bids, whether they deserve it or not.
Well, it's going to create a money printer because of the inventory they can continue to schedule, not worrying about the committee penalizing them for losing.
Right. I think it strengthens your regular season, where you're going to have teams more willing to play those big non-conference games along with 8 or 9 game conference slate. I mean, so that just from a regular season standpoint elevates the matchups that you're going to get, whereas other schools might be scared to schedule those types of games.
Clemson has already gotten ahead of this by scheduling a series of Notre Dame.
Right.
So Notre Dame will still have 5 ACC games, but one of them, I believe, is always still Stanford in that group now. But Clemson will still play them every year now too. So they'll technically play 6 ACC games, but the series with Clemson doesn't count as an ACC game.
It's hard. A lot about college football is hard to understand.
And Notre Dame plays 6 ACC games, but they're not a member of the ACC.
Hard to understand.
What do you guys think this means for conference championships?
I think,
are they done?
I think we're headed that direction. They're talking about
a play-in weekend.
The play-in weekend, which is really appealing. So for instance, if it's the Big Ten, you go the 6th place team versus the 3rd place team, the 5th place team versus the 4th place team. Winners get in. Now that is really appealing. It's again, we're blowing up college football as we know it in a lot of ways. But that part, I mean, you can finish 6th in the Big Ten and still make it, still make the playoff field. That's there's some if people talk about inclusion, that's good. I mean, that's inclusion.
Now the ACC and Big 12 though, with only 2 auto bids, they don't get
that
the near creativity of the play-in weekend.
No,
like their play-in weekend will maybe exist, maybe it won't.
Right.
I mean, and where the SEC and the Big 10 can create more inventory with their 4 auto bids.
And that's huge.
And guess how much money each one of those 3 games is worth? A lot.
Yeah, it feels just like the conference title game discussion. It's like going away. It just feels organic. Like it'll be a shrug of the shoulders.
Yeah, like Oregon, Penn State. I didn't care at all about that game.
I won't
this year.
Right.
Because I knew they're both in.
Exactly. It just didn't seem to matter much.
Hell, Oregon was penalized for losing that game.
Yeah.
They had to go.
That's your answer, Rob.
Oregon had to play Ohio State for losing the conference title game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a shrug of the shoulders when they go.
Oregon won it. Oregon, by winning the conference title game, was penalized because Ohio State was who they had to play.
Right.
And Penn State lost the game and got actually a better path out of it.
Right.
Which that's going away, by the way, too. They are going to, I think, possibly even up to this year, reseed the field where conference champions won't get the auto buys.
Sometimes I feel bad for fans who they listen and I'm sure some are like, what this is all such like, you got so far in the weeds in these discussions, they can't describe even how the teams are seeded for the 12-team playoff.
No.
Now we're talking about how we're going to seed them for the 16-team playoff, which doesn't exist yet. It's just incredible.
But the auto buy, I think, makes sense. Like if Kansas State wins the Big 12 with a 9-4 record, are you going to give them a buy over like Georgia?
No.
And that's what they're trying to do, because those buys kind of screwed up the whole bracket.
They did.
They're going to retool it.
All right. When we come back, Abby Barmore will join the show. We'll take your questions in the mailbag. You're listening to the Husker Online Show. Back here on the Husker Online Show, Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washut. Let's welcome in the always happy Abby Barmore to the program. Abby,
are you always happy?
Hi. Am I always happy? Most of the time.
Well, where are we going first, Abby? Where are you going first in the mailbag? Oh, wait, we're going to Larson Motors.
Easy.
That's where we're going first.
Sean,
well, I mean,
it's car
can't
sales
skip Larson
time.
Motors.
There are people that tune in this show just for this ad.
It's car sales time.
That's where we're going first.
Yeah, we're going to Nebraska City specifically. If you're looking for a new vehicle, how about going to Nebraska City? How about going to Larson Motors? It's one of the Midwest's only dealerships with all of the major brands in one location. So, finding your new Chevrolet, GMC, Hummer, Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram never has been easier. Start your new experience today at LarsonMotorGroup.com. That's Larson with an O. Or at Larson Motors in Nebraska City. Larson Motors, real people,
real deals.
Yeah, I want a little more energy next week.
All right, Abby,
I've
where are we
gotta
going?
practice.
I brought it.
Where are we going?
Okay, first one. Who will likely be Nebraska's punt and kickoff return specialists?
Ooh. Ja'Cory Barney, punt.
He's in that conversation.
Andrew Marshall, maybe.
I'd say Andrew Marshall's in the conversation. Kickoff, whenever I get asked that, I think of the long line of guys I see trying out or being back there in August. You'll go to a practice. Who's returning kickoffs? I don't know. There's 15 guys back there.
But do we even really return kicks?
Yeah,
that's the other
anymore.
Thing
it's like,
thank you.
Like at Tennessee, Mike Eckler was a big proponent of just taking the ball to 25.
25, right?
Because it's harder than you think to cross the 25.
It's not hard. I'm sure Nebraska fans understand.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have we seen the return come up short? How many times did I sit by Parker Gabriel, God bless him, Denver Post, where he'd say, that's 4 yards lost. That's 6 yards
10
lost.
at the 21.
Yeah, lost 3 yards on that. I mean, he used to do it all the time, but he was right. He was right.
So I think the kickoff, I think the punt return though too it's harder because of the spread punts, because teams can get down there quicker and cover you. Where in the NFL you can only release 2 people until the punt happens, right? And then the rest of the people release. But in college football, you can release everybody.
The answer on punt returns is Barney. That's what we're going to see.
He's the most dynamic option in my mind.
Yeah.
All right, Abby.
Okay. What are the top 3 factors where the Huskers need to improve to catch up to the other elite teams in the Big Ten?
Ooh.
Red zone efficiency.
Third down.
Okay, are we talking big picture factors or just on-field in-game factors?
Let's stick on field.
Okay.
The
We don't have enough
packet,
time
the
for the
blitz,
big
the
picture.
blitz third down package.
Yeah, just
that one.
Third downs, I'd say in general.
Both sides, obviously.
Extending drives and
Third
ending
down.
drives.
And like Sean said, red zone.
Mm-hmm.
What
Then,
else?
I mean, turnover differential.
Yeah,
that's an easy one.
That's
Special teams.
and then special teams.
Special
I think we
teams.
gave 4, but that's
Can we list like 10 maybe?
hey,
And then, hey, elite quarterback play.
That's 5.
Elite quarterback play is the difference. Like those teams that have elite quarterbacks, that's why they are in that echelon.
Usually. Was Will Howard elite?
It's pretty good. Got drafted.
Pretty good, but not
An
a
NFL draft pick.
Didn't look good against Nebraska.
Right.
I mean, that pick he threw to
I
Hartsock.
get it, Rob. I'm usually that guy, but you can look at this playoff. I wouldn't even say that Texas quarterback, yours, was elite.
Riley Leonard, I wouldn't call elite. I mean,
Yeah.
he's good.
Yeah.
They're all pretty good.
They're all really good, but I don't – those guys aren't elite. But Dylan Raiola should help.
That's what I'm
Matt.
saying.
With Dana Holgerson.
If Dylan and Dana are clicking offensively, suddenly Nebraska, I think, takes a step forward. A massive step
100.
All right, Abby.
Okay. Who is the best player that transferred out of Nebraska that had success elsewhere?
forward.
Ever? Wandale Robinson, probably. I mean, he was the
Yeah.
leading
Good
receiver.
job, Sean.
He was the
Good
leading
one.
receiver in the SEC. Led the league.
He's on your Giants.
Second round pick.
Yes.
Must be it.
He's okay.
Hey, McCaffrey is on an NFL roster. Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
but for reasons why he should have stayed at Nebraska. I mean, Nebraska gave him his quarterback opportunity, and he didn't want to play receiver.
Yeah, I guess he played receiver at Rice.
And then now he's in the
That's what
NFL.
I'm saying.
But no, it's Wandale, Sean. I mean, you're right. It's not McCaffrey.
What about who's the kid that Aaron Green?
Well,
went to TCU.
that was not transfer portal era, though.
That was a transfer, and he was really good.
But
He
he
was
left
really good.
because of Amir Abdullah,
Right.
because he wasn't beaten out of
And Braylon
Amir.
Hurd.
He left because of Amir Abdullah.
Right. God, they had some pretty good running
That was
backs.
those three
Mhm.
guys in 2011 would line up in that little diamond formation.
That was
People
sweet.
loved it.
That was like Tim Beck.
Tim
had fun
Beck
with
would
that
just-
one.
That
Yeah.
was smart.
He'd line them all up, and I mean, it was a night
Braylon Hurd, Amir Abdullah, and Aaron Green.
in the field together.
Nice little class.
That was one of the better running back groups they brought in
Seriously.
a year.
Smallish, but good. They were smallish.
Amir played a lot bigger than this frame.
Yes, he did.
But yeah, Wandale, based on his draft pick,
That's it.
I mean, he led the SEC in
I
receiving.
mean, he was the face of the program here. Remember when they broke ground on the football facility and Wandale was the one player like speaking for the program and then he left like a month later?
Was that a month later?
I don't know.
Well, he left at the end of the season of
Yeah.
20. No, he played in 2019. That was 2019, and he left in 2020.
Okay.
Okay.
And
So it was more than a month.
But like in 2020, like I mean, he played with like damn near broken legs
Yeah.
or broken ribs. Excuse me. He was in a lot of pain, and they were running him like ISO plays like 5 times in a row versus Penn State, and he wasn't happy about it.
I understand.
All right, let's see. We
Okay.
got time for 2 more. What do you got, Abby?
2 more. Okay. Will Nebraska have a 1,000-yard rusher this year?
I'm gonna say
No.
no. I just think it's that hard. I until Emmett can prove that he can be 18 carries a game every week. That's hard to
it.
do. That's hard to do.
And I also factor in the using the running backs as receivers, an extension of the run game. Like, so they're going to get like all-purpose yards. Yeah.
And the
that's
receivers as running
100%.
backs.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
yeah, he had 908 all-purpose yards
Yeah.
last
I mean,
year.
that, like, from a total yardage standpoint, for sure, 100%. But I don't know if he's going to get the volume in just true runs to get to 1,000.
So you think he can get it? Well,
And he doesn't get the
Scrimmage
chunk. He
yards.
doesn't get the chunk.
you
runs.
think he can get all-purpose yards?
I think so.
1,000.
Yes.
Yeah, 908 last year. I'd like
If you
to
look
see
at
him
what
get
he did over
1,000.
those last 4 games under Holgerson, like
Yeah.
the volume, he was getting like 25 touches a game.
Yeah, and then will there be another running back that can help him?
Mhm.
I mean, can Quentin Ives or somebody be a secondary piece?
Nelson, right?
Ives,
Makai Nelson. I mean, Connor Booth, Jamari
Parker.
Parker. I mean, there's guys, but someone has to emerge. All right, Abby, final question.
Okay. Which road game are you most excited for this upcoming season?
Rose Bowl, UCLA. Easy pick for me. We're going to LA. They're going to play UCLA in the Rose Bowl.
There's some good ones though.
Yeah, that's an easy one for me. I'm not saying for you.
That'd be my pick too. But I mean, we just talked about going down to Arrowhead and watching on that scene that we're going to walk into down in Kansas City. I think that one's going to be awesome. Penn State. I mean,
did you really look forward to that trip?
I mean, not necessarily. I think once we're there, I'm more like looking forward to our Friday night before when we're sitting in the Airbnb next door to Joe Paterno's house and Sean's on the grill cooking up steaks, and
that'll be fun.
We are staying in an Airbnb,
Sean
like a few blocks away from Joe Paterno's house.
You are cooking up steaks.
Yeah, we got a grill. We might as well cook that night.
I mean, it's just going to be
watch Friday night Big Ten football.
The epitome of a dude's trip.
Drink some Yingling.
Yep.
Yeah, that setup will make the trip better.
So, like from a personal standpoint,
I think we're going to do the post game show at the house.
Let's go.
We'll see. But no, Arrowhead. Like I was thinking about this
MTV show.
There'll be more people in the parking lot at Arrowhead Stadium than are Nebraska fans in the entire city of Bellevue. In
That's
one
wild.
parking lot.
Wow,
that's wild.
And
what's your game you're looking forward to?
Well, I mean,
road game.
The opener for me,
Chiefs guy.
Just the scene of that many Nebraska fans out of Lincoln. I mean, like I said, it's going to be just a mass I mean, when we drive down on that Thursday morning to go to Kansas City, it's going to be like sip, like people honking the horn at. I mean,
It'll be a lot. Yeah, there'll be a lot of that.
I mean, there'll be. You stop at Quick Trip or these. It'll just be like a Husker convention.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that for a road game in a long time.
How about when they played Oklahoma in 2006?
Well, yeah, that was the last time they played Kansas City. That was 20 years ago.
I know.
It was also
but was it like that though?
Negative 20 degrees.
It was 60,000 Nebraska fans there.
It was different because of what Rob said. It wasn't when you got out of your car.
People were just trying to survive.
Right. It was a survival test.
I watched the game indoors.
Yeah. I was in hat and coat and gloves in the press box. Like the window in the press box was icing over. It was so cold.
It was an overflow press box. I remember like some people had to sit on like bar stools behind you or like little like without chair backs. Like Jason Whitlock was in there. There were a lot of big name people that would cover those games back then. But yeah, no, Arrowhead. I mean, look, yeah, they're all good. I mean, look, I'm looking forward to Maryland. I think going to DC.
Wow.
Well, we've got some stuff.
God bless you.
We got some fun stuff planned for that trip.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Minnesota's always a fun trip. I like going up there. I know you guys don't.
Oh, I don't mind it. I like that little stadium.
Simple likes downtown
It's
Minneapolis.
a handsome little stadium.
Yeah. The people you meet.
All right.
Get a haircut.
I got a good one.
He got like the best haircut of his life out there.
I did. I changed everything.
All right. When we come back, we'll close the show. Husker softball in the regionals, and we learned one key non-conference game for Nebraska basketball. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. And we're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washett, Abby Barmore staying with us here as we close the show. And this weekend, Nebraska softball on the road in Baton Rouge. They'll take on UConn, the Big East champions, and then a possible matchup with LSU. And Abby, as you kind of size up the weekend for Nebraska, Jordy Ball in the regionals leading the way. Would you call this a favorable draw for regional standards where Nebraska could have a chance to come out of this regional against LSU?
I don't know. That's a tough one. UConn's a really good team, and LSU's really good. They have the SEC Freshman of the Year, Tori Edwards. She's had a great year, and I'm interested to see how their pitching lines up because Jordy Ball is not going to be able to pitch 3 games in a row unless they're mixing up someone else in there.
Oh yeah.
So unfortunately for this Husker pitching staff, it's kind of Jordy Ball or maybe bust. They need their other pitchers to really step up if they're going to make a run into this thing. But also, Jordy has to be her best as well, and not just, in the circle, but at the plate. She's tied for the most home runs on the team with a 19. So this offense really needs to step up, and we'll see what those other pitchers do.
And if the winner of that regional is set up at least right now to play Tennessee.
Yeah. So that's also a tough one. Tennessee also has a great pitcher, and that's something when you get into postseason softballs, you're going to see a lot of really great pitchers, and this offense has struggled throughout the year to hit off of great pitchers, and they went up against UCLA, and they have 2 outstanding pitchers, and they got the best in Nebraska. They struggled to hit until towards the end, and the game just wasn't long enough for them. So that was important for them. They just have to get over that hump, get used to those pitchers, and then start hitting faster.
All right. Make sure you follow Abby. She'll have complete coverage of the weekend as Nebraska opens on Friday against UConn. The game is on ESPN Plus. You can also listen on the radio. But let's transition here as we close the show on basketball. We did learn, Robin, officially, and I know you've reported this for several weeks now, but Nebraska will play Oklahoma on the bye weekend Saturday.
That's the best part.
In November at the Pentagon in Sioux Falls.
Yep, November 15th. Tip time, still, and TV network. I mean, the TV network that picks it up will ultimately decide the tip time based on what other games they got going on. But so there's a chance that could be an evening game too, because the women play that Sunday against North Dakota State, I believe. So, they could probably sandwich that pretty nicely with an evening game on the Saturday and maybe an afternoon game on the Sunday. But I love this game for Nebraska. For one, it's basically a home game every time they go up there. Oklahoma might draw a little bit more than Oregon State and St. Mary's and the like, but it's still going to be a dominant Husker crowd at the Pentagon. And then you get that home court advantage with the reward of a neutral site game when it comes to the strength of schedule and net rankings and all that sort of stuff. So it's a win-win in that way. And so as long as Nebraska can have an opponent and find an opponent to play them there, they're going to play a game in Sioux Falls every single year because it makes too much sense.
Wow.
So as long as they can find a team to play them, they're going to continue to do that.
Sioux Falls is okay with Nebraska doing this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They love it. Because they're going to sell the arena out every time the Nebraska plays up there. So again, everybody wins in this scenario. So, and then when you can get an opponent like Oklahoma, obviously the brand of Oklahoma with the Big 8, Big 12 history, it checks a lot of boxes there, but they're going to be pretty good. Like they have a top 20 portal class right now, and Porter Mosier's put in some work this offseason. So they kind of struggled a little bit. They were on the wrong side of the bubble this year, but they're going to be on paper significantly improved. So that could be a marquee non-conference game. Again, that Nebraska gets the extra bonus points for playing on a neutral site, quote unquote, but then also having the home court advantage to help, maybe be an X factor.
All right. Well, Nebraska basketball and the rest of the schedule, we have Creighton on there, the games in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
And you've talked about this before. It's hard to get a quality non-conference team other than Creighton to come to PBA.
It is, and they've done some home and homes in the past, but really, like those are starting to be replaced more by these neutral site MTEs, like the Hall of Fame Classic down in Kansas City, where Kansas State, Mississippi State, and New Mexico may play a little 4-game thing. So that way, everybody gets the reward of playing away from home, but they don't have to go into a true road environment. You save that for your conference because you look what the Big Ten is this year. Nebraska is going to have more quad 1 road opportunities than they could ever imagine. You don't need to go out there and push it beyond what you are doing. So you're getting 3 neutral site games against NCAA tournament potential teams, and then you get Creighton at home, and then that's plenty right there. So 4 of your 11 games are going to be against power conference teams, and then you fill that out with bye games to get yourself some early momentum, stockpile some wins to get yourself ready to go into the meat of Big Ten play.
It's too bad they can't play that ACC challenge anymore. That was always, even though Nebraska never got like Notre Dame or somebody that you wanted to see them. It always like Florida State, Clemson,
Boston College.
It was basically, did Nebraska football play this team in an Orange Bowl? Yes. Okay. Nebraska basketball will play them in the Big Ten ACC challenge. So Clemson, Virginia Tech, Florida State, all the above.
And they'd buried on ESPNU.
Yeah, it was the afterthought 8 p.m. tip on a Thursday or something like that. But I tip my hat to Nebraska. I think they found a pretty good formula for how to manage their non-conference schedules, because there's been years when they've gone all in and tried to schedule like if they're gonna like be top 5 strength of schedule in the country. and it's bitten them. And then they've gone the other way where they've just done nothing but cupcakes and it's bitten them because they don't have any good wins. So I think they found a kind of sweet spot there where you're going to have Creighton every year. You're going to have a Sioux Falls game every year. And then you're going to have a multi-team event every year. And I think that's plenty. Perfect. And you surround those with wins at home.
Perfect.
You're off and running.
It's perfect.
And Robin, this weekend, there's also a pretty big AAU tournament in Council Bluffs, an Adidas circuit event. Well, Nebraska, is there anything there Nebraska related? I know there'll be a lot of colleges and D1s in the Omaha area at the Adidas circuit event.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they're like going to like spend the week out there, but they're going to, I'm sure, keep tabs on it. And again, it's high school recruiting. It's really not what it used to be. And especially the Nike circuit, like that's where like the Kentuckys and the Arkansas of the world go.
Did you see Calipari in Council Bluffs this week?
Potentially.
I'll be damned.
Been there before.
That'd be interesting.
I'll never forget when Urban Meyer was in town recruiting Max Duggan, and somebody's like, I saw Urban Meyer at the Arby's by Bass Pro Shop. How much would that freak you out if you're like,
it would freak me out Arby's quite a bit
by Bass Pro Shop and Urban Meyer?
Or if Calipari just walked in,
would they
totally freak me out.
Better question is, would they know him?
Well, I would.
You would, yeah. But this weekend, the joke about AAU now, AAU tournaments are basically like the Summit League tournament. I mean, that's where you go look for your team.
Yeah. Seriously,
you go to the Summit League tournament and
it's not wrong.
No, I know.
So like these used to be like big time deals, like the Nike UIBL secret, and it still is to an extent. Like, but if you're one of those teams that can go get the 5-star top 10 player, Nebraska's not that guy, not that school. So yeah, they might go check it out, but the reality of them getting one of those players, or at least like it mattering enough to like devote that much time and resource to go see him, it's in Council Bluffs, so it's not that much. So maybe you'll see some presence there, but I don't think it's a priority event by any stretch.
Nick Janowski's a perfect example of that. I mean, here they invested in a good high school player and he left because he didn't get to play.
Yep. So again, it's transfers are where it's at, and the multi-year transfer are now the new gold, where you get the Bryce Williams, the Juwan Garys, the guys that you can keep in your program 2 or 3 years, supplement those with immediate impact 1-year guys, and then fill out the rest of your roster with kind of developmental high school kids or maybe under the radar high school kids. So that's kind of been the path Nebraska's used the last really several years, but basically going back to 2022. And I would imagine that's going to be the plan going forward.
All right. Well, lots to keep up with. Husker baseball as well. We'll finish up at Purdue before they head hopefully to the Big Ten tournament in Omaha. For Avi Barmore, Robin Washett, Steve Sipple, I'm Sean Callahan here signing off for another edition of the Husker Online Show.